Hi, everybody. Welcome to Friday Night with Criminality and Mia Moore Michelle and our special guest, Attorney Keith Greer. We're very thankful to have him joining us tonight to discuss the case of Rebecca Zahau, who it's a bit of a controversial case. Some people go one way, while the others go the other on whether it's a homicide or a suicide. So we're very excited to be able to go over some of the facts of the case and with an expert, obviously, who's been working on this case for, is it 5 years?
Oh, now it's been even more than that. Yeah, probably 6 or 7 at this point. Yeah, long time.
Long time. So thank you all for joining us tonight. And I see everybody in chat, and I just wanted to say hello to all of you. And then I'm going to allow Mr. Keith here to give us a little history about him and his career.
Should I take it away?
Take it away.
Right, yeah. I'm attorney Keith Greer. I practice here in San Diego, California. Been a lawyer for about 30 years. I don't do murders. I represent a lot of doctors. I've done some consumer protection stuff. But this case came across my desk, and I just found it very interesting, and realized that if I didn't jump on it, nobody else would, because it was a case that was going to be very tough. When I got it, the sheriff had already said that he determined that Rebecca's death was a suicide. So and the medical examiner also said that it was a suicide. And so now I'm going to try and get in front of a jury and have a jury say that it was murder. And so we knew that the odds were really stacked against us. It was going to be a hard-fought battle. We knew that the other side, the prime suspects, Adam Shacknight, was eventually, we got the judgment against. His brother was a billionaire. We knew that we were going to see a lot of resources against us, and on a very tough case. But when I went through and looked at the evidence, it was just so clear that it was murder. I just have to do this, and just have to trust the evidence and see what happens. So when we were talking before the show, we suggested I might just go over a timeline here of what happened with the events leading up to the evening where she was murdered, and then what happened that evening. And so, the big picture is Rebecca Zahau. She was 32 at the time. She was the boyfriend of Jonah Shacknight, who was a pharmaceutical tycoon. Medicis was his company. They had product Restylane, which helps with wrinkles and things. It was very successful, and they had a vacation place on Coronado Island here, a big mansion, the Spreckles Mansion. It's a famous mansion, right there on the water. Beautiful, beautiful old style mansion. And they were out there for the summer, and along with them, Jonah Shacknight, the billionaire, his ex-wife also comes out and vacations in Coronado, and brings the son that they had together with them, Max Shacknight, little 5-year-old Max Shacknight, cute, energetic kid. So Jonah's out there in his mansion with Rebecca, and then Jonah's ex-wife Dina is several blocks away in her mansion with Max, and Max is going back and forth between the houses and having fun. And Rebecca really loved Max. They really got along well together. And on this particular day, Max was staying at the mansion with Rebecca. Jonah was allegedly off exercising at the time when Max was asked to go up and clean his room early in the morning. Rebecca was in the kitchen doing stuff, and she hears just this loud crash and goes into the foyer to see what's going on. And there's Max laying on the floor with the chandelier from the second floor coming down next to him, and his scooter next to him. And it was apparent he'd had a fall from the second story landing, and had fallen down to the bottom of the foyer, and he was unconscious. And so Rebecca gave him CPR. Rebecca's sister was staying with her at the time, and she called 911. The first responders showed up. Max was then taken to the hospital. Jonah received a call, and he showed up about the time Max was being taken away. So Max's injuries were very serious. Max wound up actually dying from those injuries about a week later, because evidently I learned a lot about brain injuries. When the brain loses oxygen and it causes it damage, the damage isn't immediately apparent. The brain goes through a cycle, and it takes a number of days before the brain actually starts to die, and you can see that there's going to be permanent damage. In the early stages, you just can't tell. So Max is in the hospital. The call goes out to the Shack Knife family and friends, and Jonah's good friend from Arizona comes to stay with them during this period of time in San Diego, and also Jonah's wacky brother Adam Shack Knife winds up coming out. Now Adam wasn't asked to come out. Adam was contacted, I believe, by his parents, and his parents talked to him about coming out. And Adam didn't even call Jonah to see if he wanted him to come out. Adam called Rebecca and to say whether, should I come out, to support my brother. Rebecca evidently told him, do what you think's best. She didn't encourage him or discourage him. My personal opinion is she probably really didn't want him there because he was just going to be a burden and get in the way, and he was an odd guy. He's an odd guy anyway. But anyway, so Adam then flies out the next day, and Rebecca picks him up at the hospital. At the airport. They have dinner with Jonah. They drop Jonah off at the hospital. Jonah was staying. Jonah, the father, Max's father, was staying at the hospital there, the Ronald McDonald House, right across from the Rady's Children's Hospital. So he was there right on the site with his son the whole time that his son was in the hospital. He didn't want to leave his side. And so they dropped Jonah off. They went back home, and this is about 8 p.m. On July 10th of 2011. Excuse me, July 12th of 2011. And they part ways. Adam goes off and stays in the guest house, which is behind the main house. Rebecca goes up to the main house. And this is where the case starts. This is where the case starts here. As the evidence developed, one thing we know for sure is the next morning we see Rebecca lying on the ground with a rope around her neck, her hands tied behind her back, her legs tied together, and a gag that was in her mouth is now pulled down around her neck. So between the 8 in the evening, when Adam and Rebecca part paths and go to the different buildings, and the next morning, that's where the case is. And this is where the facts, this is what we had to put together over the years. And what it looks like is at some point in time, Rebecca, and I'm going to share screen here, present. We think this all started when Rebecca was taking a shower. And what I'm putting up here on the screen, this is a picture of the shower. You can see it has glass doors. And the significance of it here is, can I cut that down? Let's see. Yeah, that right there, that drop of blood. And this is piece of evidence number 6 in the shower. This is where we believe this whole thing started, because we know that Rebecca was on her menstrual cycle. Mm-hmm. And so we know that at some point in time, the water is turned off, because if the water was running when that blood dropped, it wouldn't be there, right? So correct. She turns off the water, stands there long enough to have that drip happen. And my theory from the beginning was that this is where Adam was being a voyeur and was spying on her, who knows if he was pleasuring himself or not, or what was going on there. But this is where the confrontation starts. It's on the other side of the house from where she was found. This is where it starts, in the shower. So she catches Adam looking at her in the shower, and she confronts him, and it winds up escalating to where, get rid of that. She's then later found on the opposite side of the house, and it looks like she ran as far as she could to get away, and she got to the bedroom. And I'm going to take this picture. Where'd you go here? Here we go. She gets to the bedroom, and I'll share this. I'm going to go back to share screen, present, share screen, boom. That is you guys seeing the bedroom picture here then?
Not yet.
Not yet? Oh, let me share
No, it's
here.
not shared. Yeah.
Entire screen. Here we go. It's not. Why are you not sharing? You know what? And it locked up on me. What are you seeing now? You just seeing me?
I just see you. Yeah, you can go ahead, try present again and then do it. It might come up that way.
There we go. There we go. So now you're seeing the bedroom.
Correct.
Okay, so now we see the bedroom. And this is where, hold on, I want to, yeah. It looks at this. This is where she winds up after she chases him. Outside the bedroom door, if I can pull this up quickly, we find the towel that she is wearing and 4 more drops of blood. I apologize if I'm not going to be able to find that here. Oh, here we go. There it is right there. Okay. This is right outside the bedroom door. And so what we find outside the bedroom door is the towel that she was covering herself up with when she was fleeing from him. And there are 4 more drops of blood that you can see right there. See those 4 drops over here?
Yes.
So that means at this point in time, she is standing still long enough for another 4 drops of blood to fall down onto the floor. And at this point in time, I think the confrontation escalated. I envisioned something like her saying, I'm going to tell your brother, I'm going to call the cops, you nut job, stay away from me, get out of here, get out of my house, blah, blah, blah. He's not doing it. And so now she's scared for her safety, and she runs into the bedroom here, screaming. She screams 3 times, help, help me, help. That is at about 11:45 that evening, because the neighbor next door, Marcia Allison is her name, nice old lady, really cute old gal. She heard the screams that night. She stopped. She was watching TV. Her window was open, which faced the street, 2 houses down from Rebecca. Not right next door, but 2 houses down. There's always noise in the street there. It's right on the beach. There's a sidewalk there. There's kids. There's people. There's traffic. All kinds of noise. Well, these 3 screams happened, and then all of a sudden, everything got quiet. Everybody got quiet. Everybody heard the screams, got quiet. She noticed that. That caused her to get up and walk over to her window and look out and see what was going on. And there weren't any more screams. A little bit of time passed. The noise started again. Everything got back to normal. She thought it was just one of the crazy things that happened out at night. This is middle of summer on the beach in Coronado. Stuff happening. So it isn't until the next morning when the police show up and are on canvassing the neighborhood that she realizes the significance of it, and has her husband go bring the police over so that she can be interviewed. So we have about 11:45 or so that evening. 11:40, we hear the screams. We know she's in the bedroom. Let me see if I can, and here's a picture. Are you seeing it? Here's a picture of the bedroom. What we find in the bedroom is she winds up being, she screams and runs for the balcony door. Let's see if I have a balcony here. I say, here's a picture of the balcony. That's with the rope over. Let me see if I have a picture of whether, here we go. I don't know if I have a picture of the balcony door, but she runs through the bedroom to the balcony on the back side.
Okay.
There, these are the balcony doors. They're closed right now. She runs that way. At that point in time, we believe she's hit on the back of the head 4 times with a hard, blunt object, because both autopsies, both the one we had done with Cyril Weck and the one that the medical examiner here in San Diego did, found 4 blows on the upper right part of her head. Our expert, Cyril Weck, said those were sufficient to render her, if not completely, at least partially unconscious. At that point in time, she's knocked down. She's subdued. We think she was gagged. She was immediately gagged, and we know why the gag was put on her at that point in time. I'm going to jump ahead here, because what happens later is, jump around. This is the phrase that is written on the door at night: "The she saved him, can you save her?" And this black paint, after this was painted, everything the killer touched had a little bit of black paint on it. So we can tell what was done before this was painted, versus what happened after it, because it didn't have any black paint on it. It was done before this. And the gag that she had in her mouth, it was a um, long sleeve T-shirt. I don't think I have a. Yeah, here we go. This is it. This is the exact T-shirt, but not the exact one, but the exact brand, type, and everything. They had this T-shirt, and you want to try this at home. You'll see how it just you cannot do this to yourself. The body of the shirt is stuffed in her mouth. If you take a fist size out of shirt and you shove it in your mouth, you feel like you're being waterboarded. Just try it. It's awful. You're gagging. You can't breathe. It's awful. And this was stuffed in her mouth. I'm not going to stuff it in my mouth. I've done it before. It's awful. And then um, the arms were used to tie around it and hold it into her mouth. And we know there's no black paint anywhere on the T-shirt, so we know that was done in the beginning. We also know that there was around her calves, near her ankles, there was tape residue found on both legs in a way that was parallel to the floor, meaning tape was used to wrap around her legs and bind them together initially. We don't know what bound her hands initially, but we know that the rope's not in the picture yet. She's gagged with the T-shirt, her legs are taped together, um, and now we have a conundrum, right? We've got Adam there. He was already in deep doo doo because he was caught, spying on Rebecca. Um, and now he's subject to panic attacks. He's admitted that. And now he's got his brother's girlfriend on the floor, bound and gagged, tied up. What's he going to do? Well, at about 12:45 that evening, we think Rebecca was still alive. At about 12:45, Jonah, the billionaire boyfriend, they're kicking him out of the hospital. Max is in bed. He's got to go walk across the parking lot to Ronald McDonald House for the evening, and he calls Rebecca at the end of that, and he leaves a message for her. And that message, the police never got it. You have to make the request within 30 days or you lose it. And they just botched that too. They didn't get that message. So, but Jonah left a message, and my thought was what that message said was something to the effect, because Jonah loved Rebecca. I think he really did love Rebecca, and Rebecca was a real aggressive caregiver. She just helped everybody a lot, too much even, just helped everybody. And she was, she through this process, she'd gotten the dog off to the dog sitters, and she was taking people to and from the hotels and bringing Jonah food and clothing and what, just helping all out. Now she's got this burden of the brother being there, and the I think the message that Jonah left was something to the effect of, thanks, sweetie, for all your help. I love you. I appreciate what you're doing. Thanks. If you hadn't have been there, don't feel badly. If you hadn't have been there, Max would be dead. And in fact, we know that earlier that day, this is now Tuesday the 12th. Earlier that day, Jonah, while in the hospital, had told his ex-wife Dina, Max's mom, who did not like Rebecca, gave Rebecca a very rough time. Jonah told Dina, the next time you see Rebecca, you better thank her, and tell her how much you appreciate her being there and saving Max's life, because she had not been there, he would be dead. And so you owe her a debt of gratitude for being there. And so I think the message then that night was, thank you for being there. Thank you for saving Max. At least he has a fighting chance now. At this point in time, we've looked at all the medical records, by the way, inside and out. At this point in time, there is nothing negative happening in Max's world. I mean, he's in a coma, he's there, but they don't know which way he's going to go yet. It's still too early in the process. Dina, the mom, is optimistic. She thinks everything's going to be great. I think Jonah's a little less optimistic, but still, they don't know which way Max is going to go yet. And so I think he left a message, thanks, you gave him a fighting chance. I'm sorry you got my goofy brother there, with you. I didn't ask him to come out. If anybody would have talked to me about this, I would have said, don't come out here, but he's here and there, and you got to deal with it. So now we've got Adam in the bedroom with Rebecca on the floor. all taped up, and the call from the brother saying, you goofy, blah blah blah, sets it all off. So at this point in time, he decides he's going to turn it into, and people say they made it look like a suicide. This doesn't look like a suicide. This made it look like a hit, because when you go back to what he said here with the painting on the door, and by the way, we found out that Adam's hobby is writing short stories about people in testing situations. So he just wrote his own little screenplay on this one. But I'm going to share this. The she saved him. Oh, did I miss it? There we go.
Nope, it's there.
She saved him. Can you save her? She saved him's really obvious. Everybody who looks at it, the police, everybody. Rebecca saved Max. At this point in time, everybody thinks that Rebecca saved Max. She saved him. Can you save her? Who is this directed to? Can you save her? Now, this, if you play this out to be some type of hit, that would tie together with, somebody tried to kill Max, but Rebecca saved Max, and now, Jonah, you rat, we're gonna string your girlfriend up, bound naked to the world, and humiliate you and her, for whatever reason that we tried to kill your son. We're now going to, do this to your girlfriend, kind of make this big, ugly, macabre, aggressive, psycho killer kind of scene, right? Well, what's interesting here is this: she saved him, can you save her? This was written by someone who knew that Rebecca had saved Max. Now, Max's injury wasn't in the paper. It was a private deal. Nobody knew about it. Nobody knew about Max's accident except for close family and close family friends. And we know that Jonah had a good friend, a lifelong friend that he told about it and came out and was visiting at that time. And we know that Adam knew about it because he was there. Jonah knew about it. Dina knew about it. Dina's sister, Nina, knew about it. She was also staying at the house with Dina there at the island. So we've got 5 people who knew that she'd saved him, right? 5 people who knew that. Which one of them wrote this is the question, right? Because whoever wrote it is the murderer, right? Now, did Rebecca write it herself? If you think it's suicide, doesn't work. By the time we're through this, trust me, you will have no doubt it wasn't suicide. So which one of the 5 did it? Well, we've got Jonah, we've got film of him at the hospital. He was at Rady's Children's Hospital. We got the video surveillance on that. We knew Jonah wasn't there. We knew that Nina wasn't there because she stayed in the house that night and people saw her sleeping at the house that night. Now, it's kind of weird early on. We didn't know that at that time. Early on, we had an eyewitness who said that they saw Dina at the house that night at about 10 o'clock when all this was starting. I mean, we can go. They saw Dina. They were sure it wasn't Nina. It was Dina. The eyewitness said it. I talked to him many times. The police talked, and he was convinced that Dina was there. So I've got Dina at the scene that night. She knows that, Rebecca saved Max at that point in time. She believed that. And we have Nina, the sister, Dina's sister, Nina, twin sister, not identical, but paternal, admitted that she was there that night. She said that she's the one that showed up at 10 o'clock that night, and she was the one there on the property that the witness saw, not Dina. So and I've got Adam there. So I've got these 3 people, who don't have alibis, who knew that she saved him, and I said, what happened here? And it's interesting because early on,
did he freeze or did I freeze?
Oh, what's that?
Oh, you froze for just a second, so I wanted to make sure we're good.
I knew that Adam had taken Ambien that night. He admitted, we saw the prescription, all that. So I'm thinking, okay, I've got these 2 sisters, the Romano, their maiden name was Romano. So I've got the Romano sisters there, picking on Rebecca, and something got out of hand. And I've got Adam on Ambien coming in and showing up. And I've got some weird something that happened and she's dead and they're all there, right? And so I had to, by the time I got the lawsuit, the statute of limitations was about to expire. It had been 2 years since her murder, and if a complaint didn't get filed quickly, she was going to lose a chance to go after anybody. So we took the facts, and I see, as a trial lawyer, I see things through the evidence. As the evidence changes, my opinion will change. But as I see it through the evidence, and it looked like I had somebody who an eyewitness said was there, Dina, and she denied being there. So I got her lying about it. So I got her lying. She knows about the she saved him. Can he save her? I've got the sister flying wing, who was the sister, it's just, and then Adam, we knew Adam was involved because we did the handwriting check. Hold on here. So see if I can. We did we did a handwriting analysis of Adam and Rebecca and compared it with have you guys seen this already? You've already seen the handwriting analysis?
I've seen it, but yeah, but you can absolutely show it. I had one question really quick. Didn't Nina text Rebecca around that time to say that she wanted to talk?
Yep, exactly. Yes, and it was Nina did. Nina did the text, said she wanted to talk. Rebecca didn't respond, so Nina marches over there to see her, which is, fairly aggressive, right? I mean, to me that it seems like these are aggressive acts that are going
Well, and this
on.
is after 10 p.m. at night.
Yeah, yeah, and she's obviously tired, and it was just the whole thing was just wild here. But let me go here to experts. Let's go to plaintiff's experts. Let's go to Waukesha. Here we go. And let's see, his report is right here. There we go. Oh boy. It's going to be, you know what, if I was better organized, this would be a little bit more interesting, probably.
No, this is so very interesting. I am
And I've got, here we go.
hanging on your every word.
We've got, okay, there's Rebecca's handwriting. It's this is another neat trial story, actually. Hold on here. Deposition, here we go. Exhibit 1, 2, 3. Give me a. What's really interesting is there was the sheriff did not analyze the handwriting on the wall because their experts said that because it is block printing, you can't really test it because you really have to have somebody's writing, their actual handwriting. Here we go. Here we go. All right, going to go to share screen. And that's true. That is true. But what's really what was amazing, just a luck here, was we didn't have any of Adam's handwriting, so we didn't know what to go with. And how are we going to get him block printing without knowing what we're doing? If we have him do a test to write block printing, he's going to do it like a third grader or whatever. It's going to be different. So, but he writes his signature in block print. And it's like Adam is ADAM. He's got an M at the end of it. So and an A. So I've got the letters A and M here that I can use to compare. And what's really wild is his handwriting is so stylistic that it's shockingly similar. I'll show you here with that. Okay, so this is the she saved him. Can you save her? See how the M here has a stroke up, stroke down, stroke up, and then there's a long stroke on the back. See how the last leg of the M is almost twice as long. It actually goes down to here as the first leg. And who makes their M's like that, right? Nobody does. But we have these are all the samples, Rebecca's samples. I got to get to the good stuff here. Where did you go? Here we go. So here's the letters in comparison. And we have, this is the letter A, and this is Rebecca's A's. Now, his A's, well, the A on the door, right? The A on the door leans to the left. So it leans to the left, and hers leans to the right. Hers all lean to the right. That A leans to the left. Plus, it's this kind of unique stylistic thing, like a delta shape almost, right? It's not a normal kind of A. But so Rebecca's clearly didn't match at all. But then we pull up Adam's, And the similarities are this because atoms tend to, you look at this one down here in particular, lean to the left, lean to the left,
Mhm.
to the left, and more of that delta kind of format. So that was more simple. If you had to, we asked the expert, if you had to choose between Rebecca and Adam as to one of the two people who wrote that A, which one would you more likely choose? And if you look at this, is that A on the door in black more like Rebecca's A's or more like Adam's A's? It's more like Adam. Now, not strong enough evidence to put somebody in the electric chair, right? But it's a
Right.
little indicative. But then when you go to the M's, this is the M on the door. And remember, there's that dramatic, like I said, that stylistic long leg, right? Well, look what Rebecca does. Symmetrical, symmetrical. She has this one with a little curly on here. This is back in 2010, a little curl on it. But for the most part, we're talking symmetry, 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 right? The extra thing. But where do you see Adam's M's now? There's the M on the wall. What are Adam's M's? Up it, long leg, up, long leg, up,
Oh,
long
that
leg,
number three.
up, long leg, up, long leg, up, long leg, right? And so if you ask the question then, is that M on the door written? Is it more likely Adam's or Rebecca's? Which way do you go? You go, you go Adam, right? You go Adam. So it's by the standards that forensic handwriting analysts use, this is not enough evidence to convict somebody of a crime standing on its own, right? It's just not just because you have these two letters, and not, but it's just another piece of evidence. Just, hey, it probably wasn't Rebecca, and it probably, and in addition, if you go, I'm going to save that. When you look at, get out of that, Rebecca was an artist. I'm going to save that one for later. Rebecca was an artist. She was very good with paintbrushes. And you look at that door was all sloppy, slippy, whatever. But anyway, so back on the timeline. So now Adam decides to create the scene, right? Do the scene and make it look like. Well, I think he made it look like a murder actually, but just not by him. And so he goes down to the garage. He then gets the ski rope. It's a red ski rope that was in the garage. He comes back up and he uses it to tie a noose around her neck. He ties them. We go back to sharing screen here.
Can I ask one question really
Yeah.
quick?
Yeah.
So she has the tape residue that's around her legs.
Yeah.
Was there any tape residue found on any of the furniture?
No. I don't know that they checked any of the furniture. It didn't, yeah, but it was around the way the markings on her legs were. It was around her legs. It was holding.
It was just
her.
around her legs. Okay.
So we go into the. Now he takes the ski rope and he ties it to the bed there, and then he puts the noose around her neck. And where's me some of the paintbrushes are. Let's see. I might just roll through these just one by one here. Let's see. And this is one of the tubes that as you can see, he used black paint there, but that's where she kept her tubes. And this is going to be, it's going to lead to another sidetrack here. It's going to, so she's got the paint tubes are there. He's got the implements that are found there are the paint tube, these two brushes, which are, one has black paint on it, the carving knife and the steak knife. And we think at this point in time, he ties her up, he cuts the rope into three pieces, he has a noose around her neck, legs together, hands behind her back. And he's already, by the way, he's already painted the door because black paint is showing up on this rope throughout. Even worse than that, it winds up showing up on Rebecca's nipples. It winds up showing on literally not on the wrist, but right on the tip, the barrel of the nipple, like he tweaked her nipple with it. So it's literally on either side of the barrel. There's black paint on both sides, a little bit on both sides. There's some on her buttocks, on the back side. It's on the rope in various places, and so we know that he tied her up with a rope after he had painted the sign there. But and now he got the call from Jonah. He's freaked out. He kills her, finishes us up the deed. He goes and goes to lift her over the balcony to hang her, and her weight is so much that it just tears that bed all the way across the room. We've seen this. We've seen that hanging reenacted several times by different organizations, mostly by the media, by news stations, by Oxygen Channel, by some of the other shows that did documentaries on it. And no matter how much weight you put on that bed, when you put a body over and it drops, it goes screaming down. So she goes screaming all the way down, pulls the bed, she hits the ground. She hits the ground. And so now he's got to push the bed back, and he pushed the bed so that it only moves 7 inches. You can see the imprint where the bed was originally. It only moves like 7 inches because he knew it had to move, somewhat. But that long drop, it would keep pulling until she hit the ground, and she did. So he lifts her up. Now, she's already dead now. He has Cyril Wecht in his autopsy, and the medical examiner in San Diego too said that the injuries she had were to her lower neck, meaning right here, which would be caused by manual strangulation, that her cricoid cartilage down here in hyoid, right in here in the lower part of the neck. When you have a hanging, the injury is up top because the rope is up. In fact, the furrows on her neck are up top from the rope hanging, not down here where those injuries are. And so that shows that she was strangled here first, and by the time she went over the edge, she was already dead. And so our not expert also showed that she was initially hogtied, although by the time they find her, I don't know if I have some pictures I can share that are not censored. But if you take the ropes that are tied around, let me see, I can get you some knot pictures here, which will help explain this. Let's see here, I have to go to a different file. Yeah, here's, I want to save that shot. But I'll get some knots. If you take the end of the rope that is tied around her legs, just the amount of rope that's left, and you attach that to the amount of rope that's left to the knots that are tied around her hands behind her back, makes about like a 30-inch distance between her wrist and her ankles, and holds her in a hog-tied position. And that, we believe, is the position she was in when she died. She was hog-tied because the here we go, rigor mortis had set in, and her
Okay, that was a question I was actually going to ask you, because I have a question about her legs.
Yeah, her legs were bent, and her knees were stuck in that bent position. So when she goes over the edge, he cut the rope for that she was hogtied in, but her knees are already bent in rigor mortis at almost 90 degrees. And so let me word search this. So when he drops her over the edge, she's hanging. Her legs are bent still, and so he can't let her be found hanging, right? Because that just blows the whole show. If she's hanging with rigor mortis set in and her legs bent, it just messes up the whole timeline. So he's got to cut her down. And sure enough, she's found cut down. And when she's cut down on the ground there, and she's found, her knees are bent. And her knees remain bent that day. Her knees remain bent when she's lifted and put in the body bag and brought to the medical examiner's office. When she's taken out of the bag and put on the table at the medical examiner's office, her knees remain bent. And so it's clear that that's just more indicia that she was murdered, and it was staged to try and look like a hanging. But I'm not going to.
When do you guys believe that he unhogtied her? I guess I would say, to cut that where it was two separate ties.
Yeah, before she went over. But before she went over the railing, and it would have to have been after she'd been in that position for a couple of hours. But before she went over the railing, he cut that. And this, here we go. I have a knot file here.
A knot file?
I have put my knot folder. We so in-depthly analyzed every piece of evidence in the case, and every single piece of evidence in itself alone shows murder. Let's see here.
Well, I'll say the legs being bent was the very first thing I ever wondered. If somebody was that far, like off the ground, how are their legs bent? And I tried to find any type of research that would show why that would happen, and I could find nothing.
Here we go. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't exist. It's darn, I can't. Well, I'm gonna. I wish.
You're good, no
I'm.
rush.
You know what? I am going to just. I want to. Let me see if I can put this. See if I can make this such that it doesn't expose. I really don't. I don't like disrespecting her by showing her naked body. And so, um, I'm not on share screen, am I? No, good.
No,
Um,
not yet.
but let me see. I can show you some of the knots. Let me get my knot chart here. Here we go. I found. There we go. I'm going to share screen now. I found this censored one. Um, share screen. Here we go. Entire screen. There we go. And so you can see that. See, you saw, that's what you caught, right? Her knees are bent.
Yep.
Her knees are. If she was hanging with her legs down when rigor mortis set in, her knees would be straight, right? And they're not. I mean, that's just in itself is a solid piece of evidence. Also, had she, and we know that rigor mortis set in here because when the first responders showed up, they testified that she was cold, her jaw was locked, and everything. And we asked Adam about it. What did he allegedly gave her CPR mouth to mouth a minute and a half after he'd called 911. And asked him, "Did you notice anything? Was she cold? Was rigor mortis set in?" And he said he didn't remember. He didn't remember. If you put your mouth on your brother's girlfriend's corpse when it's cold and the jaw is locked, and you are going to remember that for the rest of your life. You're never going to forget that, right? And he's, no, you know what? And I just said this in closing argument. The reason why he did it, because he knew she was dead. He knew she was dead before he went over there, and
He's screaming at her, "Are you alive?"
Yeah.
Yeah, but also if you look at the rigor mortis, typically if she was hanging also, you'd have rigor mortis. The blood, once the blood stops circulating, gravity takes over and the blood just drops down to wherever gravity will pull it. So you would wind up having rigor mortis, black, purple discoloration in her feet. There's none. At her legs, where those knots were so tight, they bruised her. They were that tight. They bruised her. And you would see blood pooling there. There's no blood pooling there. You have it in her hands where it came out. There's no blood pooling there. So she did not die in a position hanging down. Remember, I was talking to you about the rope, the hog tying. See the end of this rope here that I'm putting my cursor around? That's the on the foot. Can you see that?
No, you don't have it up anymore.
Oh, darn! Here we go. That you can't see it if I don't put it up, can you? Let's share screen. Oh, so my whole explanation here about what you see, you didn't see.
Well, we saw the whole beginning part. It just it came down.
We're talking about no rigor mortis in her feet, nothing around here where the pooled, where the ropes were tight, nothing in her hands, no liver mortis. I mean, is what it is. It's liver mortis. I was saying rigor mortis. It's liver mortis. So she didn't die in this position. Her legs are all bent. But if you take this piece of rope here that I'm circling, the end of the one around her foot, and the end of the knot around her hands, put those together, and then the cuts do match. That is a hog tie. In fact, you can kind of in your mind, like, if I took this rope over here right now and moves it over here, and hold on, and then can I draw? I wonder if I don't know how to do that, or I would. But if you just touch those two ropes together right there, that's the hog tie. And, you can say, oh, there. How did I get that time of knot? Here we go. So if you take this rope here, oh, it's not letting me. There we go. If you take this rope right here and touch it over to the end of that rope over there, That's the hog tie, and that's the way her legs are bent, right? I mean,
Yep.
it just makes so much sense. You can see
The only other, that's why I asked about the furniture, was because the only other explanation I could think of was that she was seated.
Mhm. She was hog tied. Our not experts confirm that.
Okay.
It's back. But it's so we got. Let me see. I'm running through the timeline. He goes in. There's a call from Jonah. Bangs her on. She's already tied up. He does the fait accompli, throws her to the top. She falls all the way down. He pushes it back, and then he wipes the crime scene clean. And the significance is that you can see that one of the things. Ooh, open that. This is an exact copy of the paint tube, right? You see how shiny it is? I mean, it's just shiny plastic. You could not keep this clean if you wanted to. Be the kind of thing that drive a parent crazy because kids would be already, you wanted to keep it clean. But I can see my fingerprints right now without even a magnifying glass, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so guess how many fingerprints they found on this? And by the way, this would have gone, she bought it at the store, so she had to put it in her bag. The clerk at the store had to get it, put it in the bag. She got it home, she put it up with her supplies. And whoever painted that, the door, we counted, it was about 20 times they would have to squeeze it because they put so much glob paint and then another squeeze and glob paint. So I got all this squeezing, and guess how many fingerprints are found on this?
None.
0. Well, there was a thumbprint found on the top. So when she closed it, sometimes she was supposed to, but the other 5 fingers that would have had to have been necessary aren't there. Just one Rebecca's thumbprint found on the top. That's it. How much DNA was found on it?
I was just going to ask, you have to flip it open.
How
So
much DNA?
none.
Yeah.
Not even
Yeah.
Rebecca's.
Quick study. These brushes are just first of all they're porous here, so they collect DNA great, right? And so it's different. This is again too. I bet you can probably almost see my fingerprint on bad lighting, but I can see my fingerprint right here without doing it. Well, there were 2 brushes there. Guess how many fingerprints were found on the brushes?
None.
Right. And how much DNA was found on the handle?
None.
None. We got, and it gets, and this is what really, and see if I can find this smear. This is kind of the fait accompli here was, this, we couldn't figure this one out. The butcher knife that was, the carving knife that was found in there, it didn't have any DNA or fingerprints on the handle. You know, if you had to, if he's cutting rope with this and all, that'd be all kinds of stuff, right? But there's Rebecca's prints found on it, on the blade.
On the blade.
And it's weird. And the middle initials, this is RT is right thumb. So her right thumb was, that means she was holding it like this, right? Right thumb, right? Well, you can do this yourself. If you are going to cut something, your thumb is going to be on the left side of the knife because that holds it in place. If your thumb's on the right side, you're not, it can't hold it. You can't cut something you want. It has to be so that your meaty part of your hand is what's blocking it. Here, my camera here, it's exposed. You can see the knife just comes out. You need to have it so that you're blocking it so it can't. So didn't make any sense. And also these fingerprints on it here, right from my point, are like this. I can't make pussy there. You can't see how my arms are straining to hold this thing like this. It's really hard. And we thought, okay, maybe he was trying to set her up like she touched it. Her prints are on it. But why would you put your prints that way? And all of a sudden we figured out, because what happened first was, if you put the right thumb on, it can't cut something in front of you. But if you go behind your back and try and cut something, that's how you would hold it with your finger. Try it at home. Fingerprint on the right side. So what she was doing was she was trying to cut herself. She was trying to get out and cut herself free. And these fingerprints here, then we said, okay, what about this? So we put our hands on, and then I put my hand behind my back, and I put the fingerprints, so I'm holding the knife blade, so I'm cutting myself, trying to get my rupture, and the fingers fall directly in place. I mean, like within millimeters, right spot on where they are. And so we get it. That's what, he didn't wipe that off. There's no reason for him to, because actually, it was already wiped off probably. No, he had to wipe it off afterwards because her DNA was not.
But he only wiped that because he didn't touch the other end.
The blade didn't wipe the blade, and so there's just another. It's not suicide evidence, but this was the worst one. Let's see if I can find the blood stain, because this is really powerful.
That was very interesting. I never even thought of that.
Oh, you know what? And we had this piece of evidence in front of us for a long time. Why would he do that? In fact, I did Marcia Clark 48 Hours show. By the time I did her show, we had not figured this out. This was maybe 3 months before trial or so, maybe or so, that Marcia Clark did her show, maybe 6 months. We still hadn't figured out that piece of the evidence. It was just here with fingerprints on the blade, not getting it. And so, now I get it. You sometimes you just have to step back and not block your thought process. But let me go here to this. If I can, I hope I can find a picture of this for you. Let's go blood. Here we go. Here we go. This is it. Here's my folder. Blood on thigh. Let's pull that up. Blood on thigh. Okay. I'm going to put this one up. See this mark right here? This mark right here?
Yes.
That is a transfer mark where something was inserted into her vagina while she's menstruating and then drugged across her leg. Our experts, it's not a gravity drop from going down. It's not a smear from her inner thigh. There's no blood on this other side of the thigh that was rubbing back and forth. And I thought that it was a sexual assault and that he had penile sex with her is what I thought. And that was an extraction, and he slapped his thing on her leg on the way out. But then this came up.
Oh, this is an interesting one.
And this was just powerful, I think. Let's go. Let's see the knife. Steak knife. Here we go. Then, can we go back to share screen? Don't want to lose this though.
It's up there. Yeah.
Okay, so I got it. Oh, she's lucky nothing bad came up there then. Then this came up, and you can see. Hold on here. See in the handle here, I know it comes across it. See how it's shiny down here?
Mm-hmm.
On the bottom half, and see how that's red tinted compared to that?
Right, it is.
That's blood. That is blood on there. And we thought, you know what? And the width of this knife handle is the exact width of that blood stripe I showed you on her inner thigh. Literally, you lay it on top of it, it's identical. So, and the only source of blood was her vaginal discharge. This is the only thing that has that other blood on it, and this is he. So he wound up assaulting her sexually with this, and then when he pulled it out, he rubbed it on her thigh. Let me see if I have a. This is the police lab confirmed, and we thought, this got to be it's got to be blood on all four sides, then, right? It's got to be that's. So we saw the police said they had it on two sides. They identified blood on two sides of the knife. So we went in to the evidence locker and looked at the knife itself, and what we found confirmed was there was blood on all four sides and the bottom, and you can see this biologic material in the base here in the shank.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's now this the reason why it looks white instead of red now, the forensic folks at the sheriff's department they did super glue, and they turn it into a gas, and it coats things so that it exposes it more, so it kind of changes how it looked a little bit. But it was when we went to that, and this is, see the blood here and the biologic, all in the shank, and so now we had a confirmed source of the sexual assault.
And it was menstrual blood.
You know what? They never tested it for menstrual blood. It was Rebecca's blood, but that's the only source of blood that was her menstrual blood. So everybody, the police included, everybody presumed it was menstrual blood. And so now I've got a sexual assault on top, and he's a freaky guy.
Yeah,
I
some
mean,
of the things Adam was into, and you were talking about the whole nipple moment, that was
yeah.
totally things that he was into and things that he
Mhm.
was known for watching, researching, looking up, and yeah,
Mhm.
matches all his behavior.
So
So I
we've
have a
got,
question about that knife really quick before we move on.
yeah.
So is it assumed that he held it by the part of the handle then that is not, doesn't have blood on it, or would it be
Yes.
assumed that he held it and there's no fingerprints there either?
No fingerprints, no DNA. No,
Not hers either.
anyone that. Only thing on it is Rebecca's blood smeared. Rebecca's smeared blood is the only thing on it.
But from the other end, nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. So he just did very good. You know, there's the tape that was used and later replaced with rope isn't anywhere around. The what was used to wipe everything down isn't around, and we think it was a dryer sheet. Dryer sheet. There was a dryer sheet found at the crime scene. Which here's the weird things. Let me see if I can go back to the crime scene here. If we go back, let's see. I mean, of all the odd things, you know, everything's relevant. You know, there's nothing that's irrelevant at a murder scene. And this, and they find there's a Glad garbage bag on the floor, a white trash bag, with some black paint smears on it, and there's this dryer sheet. Hold on, here we go. Yeah, look, see this down here? Oh, hold on, I gotta share it with you, don't I? Hold on.
And so it's assumed that he was not wearing gloves this entire time, which is
No,
why
he
he
was.
chose it.
He was
Oh, that he
wearing.
was.
Yeah, Paul Holt is a TV personality, crime scene investigator, and he caught that. He caught that the pattern of the blood on Rebecca's body is the pattern of a glove, of a leather glove. It is a leather glove pattern of and I maybe can pull it up for you real quick here. But see, at a crime scene, right? Where's the dryer sheet come from, right?
It's just random.
Right? Well, you know what? They're just very good at wiping things down. Google it. Google what you use dryer sheets for, and it says wiping up fingerprints on stainless steel furniture.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, and it's right there, but none of the dirty ones are there. And so, but so we've got a crime scene. You know, we've got animal and the knots. I'm not gonna spend any time on the knots. You guys have seen the knots. They are very well. Let me give you real quick here. We'll just kind of wind.
So what was the explanation for the trash bag? Not your explanation, but the explanation on how this was. Why did she have a trash bag there?
The sheriff has no explanation. No explanation.
No explanation on why there's a random dryer sheet.
Yes.
And as the dryer sheet from this angle, it looks like it's almost on top of that knife on the tip. Do we know exactly where it was positioned? Was it on top?
That is where it was. Yeah, it was on top of this stuff. Yeah. Hold on here. Let me check one more thing, and let's go to knots. I'm going to spend a moment, and then I'm going to give you the piece of evidence that is go to jail evidence.
Let's go to jail.
I just hope, you know, my hope is someday we get a sheriff in San Diego that'll open this back up. We are going to be petitioning the medical examiner here shortly to reopen it. We tried to get some things out of the sheriff, some documents out of the sheriff. We filed a lawsuit to do that. And during the course of discovery, we found out that anything he had been destroyed. And also, we wanted to know. Remember, the sheriff did an investigation initially, said it was suicide. Hold on here. Knots.
Well, there's a little I don't want to say bias, but the officer who responded to the scene is the same officer who responded to Max, and they have talked about the fact that he immediately thought suicide before he even showed up at the property.
Yeah.
They were already there from Max's incident, so they had all taken.
You know what? I'm gonna do that. Hold on. You know what? I'm not gonna. I didn't mean to do that.
That's okay. I can take it down real quick.
Okay. There we go. Is it gone? Good. You know, it's interesting. This is actually a. I'm gonna put it back on. It's actually a. Nope. It's actually been redacted. And I know it's interesting how when you pick up something with a PDF, sometimes it. But these knots, I just want, you know, share. These knots, you can't really tell as well from this one. This is a lot of figure 8 stuff going on here, which is a nautical type of knot. The knots on the leg, they're all nautical type knots. Adam is a tugboat captain, and they're the type of knots that you need to know something about maritime knot tying in order to tie. That was our expert said. But here's the big piece of evidence that's gonna put this guy in jail. And I'm gonna have to pull up one more picture to do that. And it's going to be, let's go here. And I shared this with the jury at trial. And we got a quick verdict. You know, the press says, oh, only 9 out of 12 people, you know, voted for me. That's because in a civil trial, you only have to have 9 to win. So when they do the initial vote, who thinks he did it, and 9 people raise their hands, it's done. If it was a criminal trial and they did that, 9 people raised their hands, they would have talked more, gone over the evidence, and got more. In talking with the jury, it looks like 2 of the others would have quickly gone over to murder. 2 of the others, they just want to spend some more time and look at things. They didn't want to just do it on a first vote. You know, they wanted to look at the evidence a little bit more. Let me see. I need to get you. Oops. One wouldn't have. I think one guy wouldn't have. There was one guy, the juror, who went. We get to do what's called voir dire, where we get to ask the jurors questions before we decide whether to keep them or not, and find out whether or not they are biased, you know, in any way. And there was one juror who said, "Yep, you know, the sheriff did an investigation. They don't have a horse in this race. They don't have any reason not to do, you know, a good job." Oh, can't do that. I'm not on share screen yet, am I? No.
Nope.
Okay. And if it was a criminal trial, I would have not let him be on the jury because of his clear bias. But you know what? I didn't want the jury to think that I was picking and choosing people who were, you know, like-minded, and I figured I could letting one on the jury who was clearly against me wouldn't harm me in the first place, and it would show that we're being fair. The other side, whenever anybody, the defense in this case, whenever anybody gave any appearance of having any feelings towards Rebecca, they booted them. You know, don't want you, don't want you, don't want you, don't want you. So, you know, I just decided to take a different tack. But I need to find one very important photo for you.
Very smart move in a civil case.
It is. It is, and it's if it goes to a criminal case, they will have no problem finding. Well, what they're going to have a problem is finding somebody who doesn't know about the case, who hasn't already made a decision about it. That's going to be the challenge, and it may not be able to be done here in San Diego, you know, because
You're still going to have a tough time finding people. They're going to end up probably being younger, because I think anybody of an older generation or my generation and older is going to know exactly about the case. And I'm up by Orange County, so I'm not too far from you.
And you obviously still heard about it, yeah. I guess. Well, right. You know, it's made national.
Everybody in here is from everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's made national TV on many shows. I mean, I think Oxygen Channel did a great job.
They did. They did.
They really just did their homework. You know what? I'm not finding the picture I want, so I'm just going to go to the diagram that I have. I'm going to have to explain it here. So hold on. Nope. 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 Here we go. I'm going to go back to share screen. And this, well, I'm sorry. I wish I could find the picture that's. Here you go. I know where it is. Hold on. I have the blow up. Let me step away from my desk for just a second, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to give you a share screen to look at while I'm gone, because this is. You have is it?
It's up.
Here you go. That's what we're going to talk about.
Okay. You guys, this is so interesting.
It really is. Teresa's going to replace me. Keith knows how to share the screen and everything. You'll see him
Keith
on
is
Friday night.
amazing. What he is just absolutely, he's just on top of it. Like I don't feel like I could ever discuss a case again at this
No.
point because he can never do it justice. He's amazing.
Really is.
Hi,
He
Jennifer.
definitely knows how to present the case and go, I don't feel like we've missed anything. Like I don't even have a question. Jen Lou, how are you?
He's like covering all of it.
Mm-hmm.
I know Jen Lou's here. The whole gang's here. I love it. You saying somebody said like sorry to Salty C, and I don't know. I missed what happened.
She gifted about 10 memberships. Thank you for that too, Salty.
How come I can't see that on here?
I saw it on the other thing.
Okay.
Here's, I couldn't find it. So I'm just going to talk you through this, okay?
Okay.
Vision, this is when Adam came out that morning. Oh, he said he saw Rebecca hanging, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know, but we're going to get this. And he then went over to cut her down. And in order to do that, he had to get a table and stand on it because she was hanging so high off the ground. Here we go. But that is just not the case. Here we go. We're like 2. Do I have it? Oh, that's over the railing 1. This is just the rope coming up over the railing and dropping down. Here we go. Show me a good one. This, well, that's just measuring. That's when the rope was found by the police when they showed up. It was about 135 inches off the ground. You can see it measured there, 135 inches off the ground. That's where the end of the rope was.
Okay.
Yeah. Here we go. See, it's coming over. See, it's high, right? It's way up there. To reach that, he would have to get a table, stand on the table, and reach up. It's just too high to to reach by hand at that height. Let's see, rope from outside. I seem to be in the right series of. Here we go. Nope, didn't really want to do that, but cover that up. See how it's hanging up high there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's it. So, but reality is, you can see here. This is. Let's see. This is the rope. The rope was tied to the bedpost, went up over the balcony, and then hung down. When Rebecca's weight was on it, and it was pulled taut, meaning it went straight from the bedpost on the floor up to the railing and down. Rebecca's feet were only 22 inches off the ground. Her head was at 81 inches. If you take that same rope that we just saw hanging high, you can grab it and pull it, and it will come down to 81 inches or 86 inches off the ground. Because the tension of the rope, the weight of the rope, after Rebecca's cut loose, the rope goes slack, and then it bows down and touches the floor in the bedroom rather than going in a straight line from the base of the bed to the top of the railing. And in fact, I have a great diagram of that. I had a rope. I had a diagram showing that principle, but it makes sense, right? I mean, if you pull it taut, it's going to be straight. If you let it go, it's going to bow and it rises. So if you grab that rope that's up here, you saw it, you pull it down to where she was hanging, he would only have to be standing on the ground in order to cut her down. In fact, at trial, it made the front page of the papers here. I had her hanging at exactly the height that she was hanging with that rope, and I'm standing flat-footed with that knife, and I was able to cut her down. But what happened is once she's off and she's on the ground and that rope pulls up, It looks like now it's 108 inches, 120 inches off the ground. He panicked that. He staged it. He didn't figure things out. I think when he went upstairs and he pushed the bed back, he didn't do his calculations right or whatever, because and this is the new evidence here that's powerful. This picture of him holding his hand over his head, saying he had to reach over his head to cut her down while standing on a table, that's new evidence. I always thought, maybe if he stood on the table, he could lean forward, lean down, pick her up, to carry her, and reach. I should stop sharing here for a second here. This is a huge piece of evidence.
Yeah, it is.
Down there, and he could have cut down here, right? If he understands, because I cut her down. Well, I stood on the table, I cradled her body, and I cut her down like this, right? I don't have a case. I mean, it's consistent. It wouldn't have been any bad evidence, right? When he got up and said he had to stand on the table and reach up to cut it, right? That's because in his scenario, Rebecca was cut down while hanging at that height. And she wasn't cut down at hanging at that height. She was cut down at hanging at the lower height, which he did not need a table for. And so that right there, when he did that at trial, did I work this? Yeah. When he does that at trial and shows he's reaching up, see how he says you can see his left hand here. He's holding on to her, right? Look what he would have been holding on to at that height.
Her head.
To the top of Rebecca's head, right? Maybe even above her, or just, yeah, probably just around her head. He would have had her head in a headlock and be cutting up top if he had really stood on a table. This is a mistake. Criminals always think they're smart, and they're not. That's why they're criminals, right? And they always make stupid mistakes. And he made a stupid mistake, thinking he's a really bright guy. And panic! You hear the 911 call. Oh, just a second. You alive? You hear the table go. You hear the leg drop off the table, right? So now he's got a 3-legged table. How you stand on a 3-legged table and get a 105-pound woman and cut her down and not fall down is amazing to me anyway. Didn't make sense. But when on the stand, he did that. That's the ultimate lie. That is the ultimate lie, right there.
That is exactly what he does too. That is the clip that they show. Like when all this was going on, it's oh wow.
He reached up to cut her up, and this diagram shows this is the table. The table is 29 inches top, plus his height, which is just under 6 foot, and then the knife's about 14 inches, and his hand, and that winds up cutting just about exactly where that rope is hanging when it's loose. But if he was standing up there now and he grabbed that rope, he would be able to pull it down to his waist.
So he didn't realize that he didn't actually need the table, and he put a table there to try to say that he used the table.
Exactly. Let me see if I have, hold on here. I think I have a great diagram of this too for a second here. And then I'll cut you guys loose here. We went long, didn't we?
No, you're good. I'm very happy. You did a good, I can't even thank you enough for all of this.
Well, you know what? The family's committed. I'm committed. We're not going to let go of this until he's behind bars, until Adam Schecknight's behind bars. That's just the way it is. And we're going to be petitioning the medical examiner here in about 2 weeks. Have a press conference with that. Hopefully, we have a new sheriff in San Diego.
Really get this thing going.
Yep. And let's see here. Bear with me a second here. Rope distance from the floor. Rope outside.
You get you see this.
This is too much. This is too much fun, right? I mean, that's what's really frustrating though is when you know clearly that a murder has been, committed, and the evidence supports the murder being committed, and you're screaming from the top of the hills. You got the media covering it, you got the TV shows made about it, books written about it, and nothing gets done about it, and the guy's just running free. It's very frustrating, very, very frustrating.
So this is probably an odd question, or maybe not an odd question, but this doesn't seem like this would be his first rodeo.
You know, I don't know.
Okay.
Let me see.
And it just seems like I don't know, like I wonder if there's something else out there.
Here you go. This is what I'm looking for. Finally got it. This is the concept. Is the diagram up? Okay, because here's the concept. The bedpost is down here. When Becca's on it and it's taut, it pulls all the way down to about 84 inches off the ground. You can see that one there, right? That's right. When her weight is off of it, the rope goes slack and loose. And then rather than being a straight line over the top of the railing, it bows down. It stays on the floor for about 6 or 7 feet and then loosely goes up to the top and down. And it rises up to this level. That's the level that it was at when he came out that morning. That's the level that he faked it, cutting it down at by pulling a table over, standing on top of it, reaching the knife over his head and cutting it at that level. Not the level it was at. That's the level when her body's no longer on it. I mean, I have the guy in a bald-faced lie. I think there's enough evidence to put him in jail. I hope that eventually we get the opportunity. I hope I get selected as a special prosecutor because I will put that SOB behind bars.
Listen, your dedication to Rebecca and
Her family.
the truth.
The truth.
And
You know, it's like if you see something happening, somebody getting assaulted in the street or some, kid being taken advantage of, whatever it may be, you see something happen, you feel compelled to do something about it, right? And this is people ask me to do this. When you have this thrown at you and you see it happening and realize that nobody else is going to do it if you don't, it's just a decision that makes itself. So.
Well, and her sister, I mean, her whole family, but her sister is just so dedicated.
She is a tough woman. She is not going to let this go. She is not going to let this go. No, he's Adam Shack and I has met his match in this crew, but he's laughing. He's thinking we're the stupid ones. He's thinking the whole world's stupid because he did it and he got away with it. And even though he got caught with it in a screw up that he made in his plan, he's still getting away with it.
They carry this smug type of attitude. They're just the type of people. It literally has to come crashing down directly on him, and you're doing a really good job of making sure that's going to happen.
Well, stay tuned, gang. We'll have some exciting things happening. We just touched on the basic facts. That's all we did. That's all we touched on. There is a lot more there. It just can't be told in an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, shoot, the civil one was what, 6 weeks long?
6 weeks of trial. I lost 15 pounds in that 6 weeks.
Did you really?
I got so beat up. They were great lawyers. They had a team of 7 lawyers from across the country. Well, here is this what I did. I actually read this. This was the lead attorney. It was Dan Webb, and this is the book that was written. May it please the court. It says a story about of one of America's greatest trial lawyers. And so before I went to trial with him, I got to read a book about him and about all of his trials and all of his trial strategies.
Okay.
So I had his playbook going into.
Maybe you wanted to publish that after you retired, but
Yeah, but no, he is a true gentleman, a bright, articulate, really professional. A good guy. He was tough as heck in court. I mean, kick you right in the balls, right in front of the jury. But then afterwards, shake your hand and say, "Let's have a cup of coffee." He's a great guy. A lot of respect for him. So,
Mr. Keith, it takes a lot of heart to go up against that. Like it takes a lot. You have to have a little bit more than just your career and the success behind it. There has to be. You have the balls too. So
yeah, there was nowhere to run. Nowhere to run.
You could have, but you didn't.
So anyway. Hey,
so gang, do you still have a couple minutes to answer any questions if anybody has any questions?
Yeah, I could ask a couple of quick questions. Would be great.
Okay. Anybody, if you guys in chat have any questions, please drop them in here so we can have them asked. I do have one question while they're typing.
Yeah.
When do you think that he actually cut her down?
I think about 4 in the morning or so. I think rigor mortis had set in. She didn't hang for long enough for liver mortis to set in. She didn't hang there long enough for the blood to settle. And so that was done. It already started settling when he was upstairs hogtied, lying on her back. Because she does have liver mortis on her back. That's when she was laying hogtied, and the blood settled on her back. You can see that. But I think he cut her down 3 in the morning or so, 4 in the morning, somewhere in that time.
Okay, so
Tommy,
then I
welcome
have
back.
We haven't even talked about the mud on her feet and the pattern of the.
Then we need a part 2. This isn't fair.
Now
We
I-
need a part
now-
2.
you got to tell me about that. I can't walk away.
You
Come on.
got, she's got a pattern. You guys, she's got a pattern of mud on her feet. Let me see if I can.
I think I saw one picture of that somewhere.
Was there any DNA inside of the trash bag?
No,
Okay.
it was black paint. There was black paint with that same gloved pattern. It was handled by the killer with the glove while he had the black paint on.
Okay. Did Jonah believe his brother was innocent the whole time?
I can't get inside Jonah Shacknai's head, but I can tell you that any rational human being seeing this evidence would not think it was suicide. Here's another piece we didn't talk about. I mentioned that on the date that Rebecca was murdered, there had been no bad news about Max. He was in the hospital. They're expecting him to recover. The bad news doesn't come out till a day later. So why would Rebecca kill herself when Max is going to recover?
So I actually have another thought on that too, is why
Yeah.
would she write she saved him if she thought he was dying? That wouldn't make any sense. She
That
wouldn't
makes-
say she
exactly, there you
failed to
go.
save him.
That is a great observation. I hadn't thought of that one. But you're right. If you don't think he's going to die, it's he had saved him.
Right.
But
So why would I unalive myself if I think he's going to live?
Right. Yeah. No.
And then I have, let me see, were there footprints on the balcony that weren't hers or?
No. And the balcony footprints is a whole nother 5-minute dissertation, but we're going to have another show. But let me show you this.
Okay.
There were
I
no.
did hear
but
that
there
there
were
was a footprint from an officer that was accidentally left
That
there.
was the officer that walked out and left his own footprint, but that was an anomaly. The only thing on the deck was right inside the threshold, right as you go out of the bedroom onto the deck, her 2 heel prints with her feet pointing out in a V, not a whole footprint, but a V shaped, and then the tip of her right toe right next to the railing. Now, the railing is 24 inches deep, so about 2 inches from the end, a right toe. But here, what do you make of this? Now, if she committed suicide in the bedroom, right, and she jumped off the deck and she was hanging, how's she getting this?
Yeah, that print.
And that print right there is the size of the bricks on the walkway down below her. And there are her toes, both feet, muddy toe prints on the side of the house. There's a lot here, gang. There's a lot here.
Oh my gosh.
Swinging,
Please come back and do a part 2 because I just.
We will do, you know what, gang? We will do an advanced Rebecca Zahau show. So people can be up to speed, get ready. No, it's not going to be, we've already had the first episode, right? Where we're not going to catch you up at all.
No.
If you know, this is going to be for people that know the case and have questions. Let's devote some more time for questions, have them formulate their questions. And I will give some more in-depth analysis of some other more discrete aspects of the evidence, which are still very powerful. But you just got kind of the broad brush today. So.
Oh no, I think it was.
Yeah.
I'm even more intrigued than I was before.
Yes.
So one lady says, so she had just showered, but yet her feet were muddy.
Yeah, just and there's no muddy footprints on the carpet in the bedroom or in the house, right? So the mud came here, and to think about that one. You know what? If you Google pictures on the internet and you look around and you play sleuth, I'd be curious to see what people say. look for pictures of the side of the house underneath the balcony. You'll see the toe marks, muddy. They look like handprints, but you gotta look closer because it'll make more sense. But start doing your sleuth thing, and we'll talk about that one on the next time
Okay.
around.
Okay. You promised part 2, right?
I
Promised
showed up.
everybody.
I showed up for this one, didn't I?
Yes, you
For bringing
did. You did. And you brought your A game. And this might not even be your A game, but we're very impressed and we're very
It
thankful.
is, this is an embarrassing C game. Actually, it's a grabbing for pictures, and I just knew I didn't need to prepare it all because I live this case every day.
Right.
And so I just knew whatever questions came at me, I would know the answer to right away. So.
Let me see. This is a sore. Was there a sore on her big toe?
Blister, maybe.
No, it was blood, but I think that was from the menstrual blood that fell. Those 4 drops that are right outside on the floor outside the balcony. One of the bedroom, one of them is smeared, and the blood on the bottom of her big toe, I believe, was that her stepping and smearing that, transferring it to her toe. So there's no sore on her toe.
That's right. Do your homework because part 2 is coming back, and like he said, we're gonna do real deep dive on this one.
Yeah,
Make sure you follow him on his Twitter. I know that BR the Star's done a great job making sure you guys all follow him on his Twitter.
Guys, join Rebecca's Facebook group, please. I'll drop it in our group as well.
And it's interesting too. I got Adam Shacknai at one of the press conferences, the last one actually, berated me before working with people on the internet, and the cyber sleuths out there. And trust me, helpful. I have people looking at evidence different ways, catching different angles, all kind of stuff. And it was very helpful. And then some of the stuff we got was from out there on the internet. And he actually pitched me shit for doing that. Use what you got, right? I mean, that's we didn't have millions of dollars for investigators. We've got lots of people with good minds and creative
Quick
thinkers.
thinkers. Yep. And they want to help. They're into this type of stuff.
No.
They want to help.
No, web
Got some
sleuths-
very intelligent people
web-
in this chat right now that I know are going to go dig.
breed. They are a different breed.
True.
But anyway, so it's hopefully maybe I'll find something for one of you guys. It's another fun twist.
We'll dig around too.
We'll get something.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
All right.
It was a
Thank you
pleasure.
so much, Keith. Thank you so much.
See you
I'll be
next
in
time.
touch for part 2. Good night.
All righty, take care.
Good night. That was so awesome.
It was amazing.
That was awesome. He was awesome.
Yeah, there's just like, and my mind is spinning. Like I want to go just do like tons and tons of research. And I followed this case, and I feel like I know enough about it. And then there's still stuff he's saying, and I'm like,
I feel like I know. I feel like I thought I knew everything to this case until we just had this, and I'm like, oh wait, there's.
I feel like I know nothing. I'm like I need to start over.
He was like, we're just starting. He was like, we didn't even get. I'm like, oh wait a second.
He's like, this is my C game. I'm like, damn.
I'm like, he could share screen. I'm like, oh, he's coming up every week. Teresa's gonna replace me.
Well, I'm gonna replace me. I don't know what you're talking about. Like he's like, oh, that took me forever to figure out like sharing the screen and stuff. I'm like, he's like, can I share the screen before we went live? He's like, can I share, like, do I have the ability to present or to share? I'm like, yeah, you just hit the present button. And he's all, okay, boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, it took me like a whole live to figure that out.
He's just like,
The guy is on his A game. And the civil case that happened and was, I'll let you guys know too. So it was in 2018. You can watch that, and he does a great job. And he's done other interviews. He's been on some podcasts. He's been on Dr. Phil.
that Oxygen special.
The Oxygen special is a really good one. It has like a federal prosecutor that comes in. That's a really good one. What is it called? Crime Door. Are you guys familiar with the Crime Door app?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so on Crime Door, you can actually see her crime scene, and you can read about it. If you're not familiar with it, you just download the app and you can just search her case. It's a really good app for a bunch of cases. Let me see. Oh, so the civil suit happened in 2018, and Adam was actually gonna try to like appeal it, basically saying like, like they're gonna have to work out, like he didn't want to pay, and it was don't quote me, I think it was like $5 million that they offered, that the jury awarded them. And then Adam's insurance company paid out a settlement of like $600,000 to Rebecca's family. And he states that he was not aware that the insurance company made that deal. And he says that he's innocent and he never hurt her. So that was just a great interview. Michelle, thank you so much for setting that up. That man is, I want him to like just tell me all kinds of stuff about every case he's ever done. And he's so easy to listen to.
Yeah. He knows how to talk to us in a way where, yes, he's presenting it, but I just felt like I was also having a normal conversation as well, like just about talking true.
He's super chill. You know? And I like that he's just like, the guy was cool and he would kick you in the balls in the courtroom.
Yeah, he didn't hold back at all.
Back because we're girls, you know what I mean? Like, no, he was awesome. And obviously, like he said, he knows this case inside and out. He's lived it for 6-7 years now. But I'm extremely thankful.
No, he was awesome. And thank you guys. You guys were awesome.
Thank you, Missy. Yeah, it was $5 million. They settled, the insurance settled for like $600,000. But it's if you go to like the groups, or I shouldn't say the group, because that one group that you guys are posting the link for is very pro Rebecca. But there are forums that are built against that try to prove that it is a self-unaliving. And they're very against like anything happening to Adam. So it's a very interesting two-sided situation. And obviously we heard a lot from one side, which I'll be very clear, that is the side that I lean on. So I think I would probably be a little bit more argumentative with the other side, but I'm just being honest. But so I was very happy to have him come on, but because I do agree with the path that they're taking. He would be a great educator. He would absolutely be a great educator.
Oh yeah. Think how long he's hung on to this case. If he didn't believe it within himself, who would go through all of this? Look at the teams that he has went up against. I mean, he just spoke of one. He went up against multiple. And if they come bearing everything, and he just comes with his humble self and whatever he can, he truly does appreciate online sleuths. That this is not the first time he's even mentioned that. And he's right. He got his, he almost got I don't want to say it. He was talked down to because of it almost. And he's just so appreciative of, he's just a great guy. He's great to that family. I know that family's super appreciative of him as well.
I think this case, or I shouldn't say this case, Maya Miletti's case reminds me a lot of this case, and not because of the circumstances, but because of the family, and the, how her sister Mary Chris, Maya's sister Mary Chris is it reminds me a lot of Mary, and ironically they're both in the San Diego area. So
their whole way is very similar,
It's like balls to the wall. We're not quitting. We're going to make sure that we get answers, and we're going to take care of our sister.
Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah. I'll take it.
Do I think that Missy wants to know, do we think that Max had an accident? I do. I never, okay, so this is going to sound that I never dug into his, I know they released a lot of his photos and a lot of that. I never dug into that part. I don't even know how to say that without sounding really crass, but I kind of just always felt like it was an accident. But as I was, doing research more recently, there are people who are adamant that Rebecca did not do CPR. And that there's weird things with that 911 call, but you can't find the 911 call. You can find it transcribed, but how do we know that's actually the right transcription? Because you can't hear the 911 call. So there's a lot of, I don't know. I always felt it was an accident. I'd have to look into it more to actually give you a legit answer after research, because I never researched it. That's kind of my final answer on that.
And I think too, when you hear tidbits of what Keith does have to say about that, and little things that were heard and that were taken down in notes and whatnot, it might even explain Max's accident. So we think Max's accident even a little bit better. I'm just like T. I really didn't dig into Max's end too much, but I'm getting accident out of it too, and almost like what Keith had said, that there's a possibility between the scooter, the dog, and then him maybe wanting to create that roller coaster and just, you know, dog jumping around too. Could have, you know, I've always felt, you just could see the love that Rebecca had for Max, even though
I think that was kind of my issue, was like I never really saw any any motive or any, you know, like why would she hurt him? And obviously, in the, you know, her little sister, who was 13 at the time, was there, unless but it would still be an accident. So I don't know. And like I said, I can't really overly answer it. Missy, you asked the question, so now I need to know your answer. What do you think? Now I'm curious.
We're curious. Oh, Karen, thank you, babe. Love you.
That's Max 2002. Yeah, you're right.
That's right, Max.
And then Karen says you have the prettiest eyes.
Thank you, Karen. I love you.
Or I guess I can't replace you. Get yourself pretty eyes and stuff.
I'm stuck now. She's stuck now.
Yeah.
He was so impressive. I'm like, oh, we tried this before. Yeah.
I thought it was an accident. I saw things where he may have suffocated before he got hurt, but I do think accident. They ended up like ruling away from that, so that was kind of interesting. But I know that the one doctor had said something that they believed that was possible, but I don't know how all the other things that happened would have happened if it was like all the marks on the banister, all the paint scuff on the scooter.
Like,
Unless the little sister was playing with him and she accidentally had something to do with it and they covered it up. But I mean, then how did they get the chandelier? Like, that chandelier was like broken too. How did they get to that? I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't have a full on.
Like it matches the crime scene photos versus, you know, just how they were together. Like, meaning Rebecca's relationship with Max. She's had Max many times. Like, you know, Dina clearly trusted her as well. I mean, that has to, you know, say for something, because Rebecca did have Max a lot on her own. So I mean, I think Dina would have picked up on that, considering that the older children, you know, which would make sense sometimes. She was younger than the dad, and, you know, they might have had issues with that. But her and a 5-6-year-old little boy, no, she was playing with him. He loved her, and I think if Dina honestly felt that, she would have never, you know, like,
I think there would have been a lot more issues. I don't know. Would she be traveling to California and staying in a mansion down the street?
Exactly.
You know, and then, yeah, I don't know. Was Adam already there yet? Well, that's another big question too. Is like, did they? You know, I'm sure they probably have checked it. You know, all when he actually came in. Rebecca picked him up from the airport that day, on the 12th. So he had only been there. That was the first night he was staying there.
And then to know some of his search history and what he was already watching, and then to know, you know, to hear certain things that Keith had mentioned, it does align kind of in some of the things he would do. Oh, it is brutal. It is brutal.
Yeah, the anti-Rebecca side is very brutal.
And they very much, like, they hone in on the fact that she killed Max. Like, yes, vicious.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just don't say it. I don't in any way.
I don't know. Like I said, I have to look more into it. But if that's the message from the family, is, you know, that's like the side that the family takes, then that's even more interesting, because then what that does is actually creates motive for Rebecca. And they ultimately are two separate cases.
Yeah.
Unless, like he said at the very beginning, which was a thought that I did have, is like, did Jonah have enemies who tried to come in and hurt his family? And it didn't work the first time because she saved him, but now watch, you can't save her. Like, you know, so can you save her?
I took that though too, like that could be an X type of deal. Like, okay, you know, you saved, how do I put that? Like on an emotional level, like, okay, you saved him in a sense, but can you save her type of deal? Like, flip it around. And like, take that as if Dina wrote it. Like, would that make sense then? Like, if you go back to some of the poems that he would write Rebecca, he talks about how much she saved him. Like, that she brings him down to this very grounded level. You know, they they
Yeah.
keep grassy shit together. Like they have like a little lifestyle together.
Oh, we didn't get to talk about the Book of Witchcraft.
Ooh, no.
The Oxygen is a good one to watch. Yes. They found a book in her bedroom of witchcraft where it talks about tying knots and using red rope. And it's like similar to like how she was found. That's a big thing on the opposite side. Is like that she did it to herself because this is the kind of stuff she studied. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't,
People like with the honor thing.
in the least bit, how was this not at least undetermined?
Right. Right.
I don't. How did they go straight to suicide? I don't get that.
Me either. Everything he named, those 5 key components right there. It's just evidence on top of evidence, in my opinion. I don't. Yeah.
Right. All right. We'll wrap it up. That was amazing. My head is just. I don't even want to go do anything else now.
I think we were prepared for like to do like and here he came and just was like.
Well, I'll tell you guys it because I was like, I know enough about the case where I think I could tell like a good timeline, and he's like, I got this. Like, I got
Michelle.
Okay.
About to have a whole heart attack.
He really did, though. He was just, he's like, that was just so good. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for spending your Friday with us. You know, as I always say, you can go to a million other places. And, oh, yes, before I go, mention the Marsha Clark special was very good. She only did like 6 episodes, but she should have done more. But so she does the one show on Rebecca's Zahau, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, you guys have 1,000 other places you guys could choose to spend your Friday nights, and you choose to spend them with us, and we really appreciate every single one of you. And I hope that you guys have a great weekend. And this was a nice. Nice isn't the right word. This was a better ending to the week that we've had after everything with Jolissa and Quentin and Kylie. It's just been a rough week, and to have, you know, something to look at and dig into that actually needs some help at this point is it kind of takes some stress off from. I'm really struggling with Quentin, so
It was a heavy week this week, and it's just.
It was a very heavy week, back to back, every day. So, oh, Sandra, well, hi, I'm glad you popped in. So, but thank you guys. Thank you all. I appreciate you all, and have a good weekend. And I'm hoping to hear some news on Quentin, but if not, we'll talk about him sometime next week, even if it's not Friday. Maybe if we have to do an earlier one, just because I can't stop thinking about that little man.
We'll definitely keep you guys updated. We'll get it out there. Oh, and Cassie, that's right. And Cassie.
Oh, Cassie. Oh, that was today. That was another one. That was another one. We do have a trial date for Letitia Stout, and we do have a trial date for Alex Murdaugh, though. So, I mean, those are kind of moving in the right direction.
All right. Got a little bit of something there.
But it was good. It was good. Like I said, I appreciate you guys. Mods, thank you so much for, you know, always just being amazing. Michelle, thank you for just your beautiful blue eyes. Just sitting there being so pretty.
Love your beautiful blonde hair.
Love your beautiful face. Love you all, and have a great night.
Good night, guys.